There is a common houseplant sitting in millions of living rooms right now, and almost nobody who owns one realizes it is secretly running a math equation every time it grows a new leaf. Scientists just confirmed exactly what that pattern is. Researchers uncovered a hidden mathematical secret inside the leaves of the Chinese money plant, a naturally occurring geometric pattern known as a Voronoi diagram, something typically associated with city planning, computer science, and network design rather than a plant sitting on a windowsill. So what exactly is a Voronoi diagram, and why would a houseplant be growing one? A Voronoi diagram is a mathematical structure that divides a space into regions based on distance to a specific set of points, creating a pattern of irregular, cell-like shapes that fit together seamlessly, similar to a honeycomb, but with each cell shaped by its distance from its neighbors, rather than a fixed uniform shape. Engineers and computer scientists use this exact mathematical structure to solve problems like designing efficient delivery networks, planning cell phone tower coverage, or figuring out the most efficient layout for a city's infrastructure. Finding that same structure occurring naturally inside a plant's leaf tissue is the kind of discovery that connects something abstract and human-made to a process nature has apparently been running on its own for a very long time. That connection raises an obvious question worth digging into. But the most fascinating question may be what happens when scientists begin looking for these patterns instead of simply stumbling across them. Once researchers know that nature can produce structures resembling Voronoi diagrams, they can start examining other plants, other leaves, and other biological systems for similar arrangements. The goal is not to prove that every natural pattern follows the same mathematical rule. Nature is far too complicated for that. Instead, scientists can use mathematical patterns as a way to ask better questions. Why are certain cells positioned where they are? Why do some veins branch in particular directions? Why does one region of a leaf develop more densely than another? And how does the plant coordinate all of this without anything resembling a central control room? Those questions become especially important when scientists study growth at the cellular level. A leaf is not built all at once. It develops gradually, with cells dividing, expanding, communicating, and responding to their surroundings. Tiny changes in growth can influence the final structure of the entire leaf. Yet somehow, the result can resemble a highly organized mathematical design. That does not necessarily mean the plant is following a blueprint, in the same way a human engineer follows a technical drawing. Instead, the pattern may emerge from thousands or millions of tiny local decisions. Individual cells respond to nearby cells, available nutrients, chemical signals, mechanical pressure, and the direction in which the plant is growing. Each individual interaction may be relatively simple, but when all of those interactions happen together, a remarkably complex structure can emerge. This is one of the most important ideas in modern biology. Complicated systems do not always require complicated instructions. A flock of birds can create coordinated patterns without a single bird directing the entire group. Ant colonies can build complex nests without one individual ant possessing a complete architectural plan. The human brain contains billions of neurons that interact through local connections, yet consciousness and intelligence emerge from the combined system. Plants may be doing something similar with their internal architecture. No single cell needs to understand the final shape of the leaf. No individual part needs to know the entire mathematical pattern. Each component simply responds to the signals and conditions around it. Over time, those local interactions can produce a structure that, when viewed from above, appears remarkably organized. That is what makes mathematical biology so interesting. Scientists can sometimes look at a pattern and work backward, using mathematics to uncover the hidden rules that may have produced it. In the case of a Voronoi-like arrangement, the key idea is proximity. Imagine placing a series of points across a surface. Each point claims the area closest to it, creating a network of boundaries between neighboring regions. The result is a patchwork of irregular polygons, each connected to the point that controls it. In engineering, those points might represent cell towers. In geography, They might represent emergency service stations. In architecture, they might help divide space. Inside a plant, the points may represent cells, growth centers, or other biological structures. The remarkable part is not that a leaf looks exactly like a diagram created on a computer. It does not. Biological systems are messy. Cells vary in size. Growth is uneven. Environmental conditions constantly change. The plant is not operating in a perfectly controlled laboratory environment. And yet, despite all of that biological messiness, the underlying arrangement can still reveal the mathematical signature of an efficient spatial system. Nature rarely produces perfect geometric shapes. Instead, it creates approximate solutions that work well enough to survive. A leaf does not need to form a mathematically flawless Voronoi diagram. It only needs to distribute resources efficiently, maintain structural strength, and support growth. Evolution does not reward perfection. It rewards functionality. If one variation helps a plant use water more efficiently, distribute nutrients more effectively, or build stronger tissue with fewer resources, that variation can provide an advantage. Over countless generations, small advantages accumulate until the result can appear almost engineered. But there was no engineer, no blueprint, and no conscious plan. Only variation, competition, survival, and time. This is why scientists compare natural structures with human-made designs. Engineers begin with a problem and search for an efficient solution, while nature allows successful variations to survive. The process is completely different, yet the results can sometimes look remarkably similar. Water flowing through branching networks, forces acting on structures, and resources being distributed across an area all tend to favor certain efficient arrangements, and mathematics helps us describe these recurring solutions. A houseplant on a windowsill may seem ordinary, but inside its leaves, countless cells, veins, chemical signals, and mechanical forces are constantly interacting. The plant is continuously solving problems, capturing light, moving water, distributing nutrients, growing efficiently, and maintaining strength without wasting resources. It does not calculate equations or understand mathematics, but its biology has been shaped by the solutions that worked. Humans often think of mathematics as something we invented, but the relationships mathematics describes existed long before we gave them names. We did not invent the spirals in plants, the geometry of honeycombs, or the efficient patterns used to divide space. We simply developed the tools to recognize and describe them. In that sense, mathematics can feel less like an invention and more like a language for translating what nature has already been doing. The Chinese money plant may look simple, but its coin-shaped leaves can hide millions of years of biological optimization. The plant never needed to understand Voronoi patterns or mathematics. It simply grew. Yet through evolution, that growth produced a structure that mathematics can recognize. Sometimes, the most remarkable engineering solutions are not found in laboratories or deep space, but quietly hidden inside a plant sitting by a window. And the more closely we look at nature, the more we realize that its most extraordinary secrets are often hiding in plain sight. But the solutions have been there all along. So if you own a Chinese money plant, look at it a little differently the next time you pass by. Because beneath those simple coin-shaped leaves may be a complex mathematical story about efficiency, evolution, and the surprising ways nature solves problems. And the more scientists look, the more they continue to discover that the natural world may be full of engineering solutions that humans are only just beginning to understand.